The truth about virtual reality, VR, motion sickness. Virtual reality, VR, might be the flood of things to come for certain individuals. Yet for other people, it might just feel like a rush of sickness. VR gaming frameworks make a vivid recreation that furnishes the client with an out-of-body insight. VR games can be heaps of fun. Sadly, a few group who attempt VR get indications of movement affliction like nausea and vomiting, queasiness, cold sweats, dizziness, headache, fatigue. There's no genuine development produced during a VR game. All things considered, VR causes movement infection for a similar explanation moving vehicles do. Fortunately, the very methodologies that forestall and ease movement disorder in reality can likewise be utilized to battle it in the virtual one. Peruse on to realize what causes VR movement affliction, and how you can deal with forestall and treat it. What causes VR movement affliction? At the point when you're playing a VR game, your eyes register the developments being reproduced around you. These can be anything from comets zooming by in virtual space to riding on a jogging unicorn. Your inward ears additionally sense that virtual development is occurring surrounding you. In any case, in spite of what's being created in your VR headset, the muscles and joints of your body sense that you're standing by, and not moving. Your eyes, inward ears, and body send these blended messages to your mind all the while. Your mind gets confounded and confused, causing movement infection to happen. How is VR motion sickness different from other types? VR game architects endeavor to make a wonder known as presence. Presence alludes to the physical and mental vibes of being there, rather than where you are, while playing a game. It's quality that makes very much planned VR encounters amazing and reasonable. But on the other hand, it's what causes VR movement disorder to feel equivalent to movement ailment produced by genuine development. The solitary distinction between VR movement affliction and different sorts is that there's no real movement happening during a VR game. How to make VR motion sickness stop. In the event that you begin to feel wiped out while playing a VR game, it might bode well to eliminate your headset and stop. Proceeding with the game while sitting or stopping will just drag out and demolish indications. While not demonstrated, some gamers say their side effects die down in the event that they get up and move around. This may help by matching up their movements to the activity of the game, easing contradicting messages to the cerebrum. VR movement affliction can keep going for quite a long time. Some preventive at-home medicines can likewise be utilized to stop it once it begins. Tired recipe antihistamines. First-age antihistamines that cross the blood-mind boundary can be utilized to treat movement infection. These antihistamines have anticholinergic properties. Anticholinergic meds decrease indications like spewing and queasiness. Meds to attempt incorporate Benadryl and Dramamine. Second-age antihistamines don't have this impact. Outside air. It's not completely comprehended why taking in new, cool air eases movement affliction. However, individuals frequently report feeling better once they do. In case you're inside, head outside and inhale some cool air. In case you're inside, produce a breeze with a cooling fan. Fragrance-based treatment. Essential oils, similar to lavender and ginger, may help decrease queasiness and dazedness. Take a stab at utilizing a room diffuser or spot a couple of drops on your wrists and delicately breath in the aroma. Ginger. Ginger can help decrease queasiness and may likewise have a quieting impact. Take a stab at taking ginger enhancements, biting ginger sweets, or drinking ginger tea. You can likewise strip and suck on new ginger root. How to prevent VR motion sickness. While not experimentally demonstrated to work, there are items intended to stop VR movement infection before it begins. They include VR treadmills. VR treadmills are really a kind of shoe that allows you to reenact strolling while you're really stopping during a game. Cyber shoes. These work correspondingly to VR treadmills, with the exception of you wear them while sitting. Low inactivity VR games. Latency alludes to the measure of time it takes for in-application movement to enlist in the mind. The lower the inertness, the less deferral there is between what's going on and your cerebrum's impression of it. Techniques and therapies for forestalling movement disorder may likewise be successful at forestalling VR movement affliction. They include scopolamine fix. Scopolamine is a remedy anticholinergic medication that is regulated through a fix worn behind the ear. It's utilized to mitigate queasiness and spewing brought about by surgeries. It's likewise some of the time endorsed for individuals to use before boat trips. A fix can be worn for as long as 3 days. Have an unfilled stomach. Avoid eating a hefty supper prior to playing. This may diminish sickness and heaving. Attempt prescription. Take Dramamine or Benadryl a few hours preceding playing. Utilize a wristband. Wear an enemy of queasiness wristband that sits on pressure point massage point Naguan, P6. Who is most susceptible to VR motion sickness? A few group are more powerless to movement infection than others. A few group never get nauseous and can ride crazy rides easily, while others get sick and hurl during similar circumstances. This is additionally valid for VR movement affliction. Amateur gamers might be more powerless to VR movement affliction than the individuals who play routinely. In case you're new to VR games, have a go at beginning gradually and sloping up the measure of time you play. This may help lessen movement ailment. Studies' trusted source show that ladies and kids are more powerless to movement affliction than men. Ladies who are pregnant or discharging may likewise be more powerless against movement ailment, including VR movement disorder. When to talk with a professional about VR motion sickness? VR motion sickness typically resolves on its own within a few hours. If your discomfort worsens or doesn't abate, talk with a medical professional. You should also see a health professional for VR motion sickness if you vomit for several hours. Vomiting extensively or long-term can cause dehydration and low blood pressure. Your doctor can also prescribe medications that'll help eliminate VR motion sickness before it starts. This can be helpful if you play often or competitively. VR games reproduce circumstances that contain heaps of movement. Since the body is still while playing, this can cause movement infection to happen similarly that moving vehicles do. Ladies and kids might be more defenseless against VR movement disorder than men are. There are items intended to lessen VR movement infection, similar to low dormancy games. Customary movement ailment cures like Dramamine may likewise help. Thanks for watching.